So this morning, Tulsi Gabbard takes to Twitter to release this statement and this video. She says, I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that is now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness who divide us by racializing every issue and stoke anti-white racism, actively work to undermine our God-given freedom. All right, so let's hear it in her own words real quick, and then we'll break it down and react to some of these comments from you guys. But yeah, let's hear it from Tulsi herself.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
Yeah, so there's Tulsi's statement. Pretty funny
I
stuff.
can no longer
Pretty funny stuff. One thing I find pretty interesting too is she says, I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that is now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers. You've been calling out the warmongers that control the Democratic Party for a long time, Tulsi. Like, back on back when the Bernie Sanders endorsement happened, back when you called out Kamala on the debate stage, like the fact that the Democratic Party is under the control of elitist warmongers is not a recent development. This isn't something that just happened like 6 months ago. Like all of a sudden this new person came in and turned the Democratic Party into an elitist cabal of warmongers. Like that's been the fucking status quo for basically your entire career, Tulsi. It's been the status quo for my entire life. So I know it's been the status quo for your entire career. So what happened? I can no longer remain. Now it's too much. It's too woke. They got too woke, so you had to leave, right? No, it's because you saw a lane for yourself in the Democratic Party. You thought you could grift the Democrats with your, brand of bullshit back during the Democratic primary. So you ran there, and when you miserably failed and got less than 3% or whatever, you turned around and decided, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Now I'm going to have to grift the right wing and switch lanes. That's what happened. The Democratic Party has always been an elitist cabal of warmongers. That's nothing fucking new. That's not a recent development. And to sit here and act like, oh, I just became enlightened. It's like, good fucking job, bitch. Like, we've all fucking been on that page for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The first presidential race that I think either of us were conscious for, unless you were conscious for, was unless you developed way faster than me, Gavin, was the Kerry Bush race, right? I don't remember Gore Bush at all. I was barely 2 years old or whatever the fuck when that happened. So, but I do remember Kerry Bush, right? And I remember distinctly, and also this is, things you've learned since then, right? But the dude was pro-Iraq war. Both of them. In 2004, the Democratic Party nominee, not only is John Kerry like a ginormous aristocrat, I think he's got like $250 million net worth or something astronomical. I know he's like affiliated with like a big fortune of some kind. Anyways, really, really rich. So it's always been an elitist warmongering party. Where was the last war that the Democrats didn't fucking run over and fall over themselves to support and justify? And then Obama comes in on hope and change and all that kind of shit, and all he does is change from putting troops on the ground to just massively increasing the drone warfare, right? That was the hope and change he brought. Always been this way, 100%. And then, aside from the fact that she comes out in the denim t-shirt, like we know she's simping for the Republican Party, case in point right there, denim t-shirt on. Let me just share this really quickly because it's absolutely insane. So I have the, interesting background of like my grandpa, bless his heart, as they say in the South. The man is like just a, I would say like real far gone Republican right wing guy, right? And when I was growing up, when I was like 13 or whatever, he would give me all of these books that he would say I needed to read to combat the liberalism that was being fed to me in school. And so he would give me like Michael Savage books and like Bill O'Reilly books and all this kind of shit. And of course, like Ann Coulter books, all kinds of like deranged shit, right? And I, would flip through some of them and read them like as gags with my friends sometimes, and they all sounded exactly like this. I love our country, our God-given rights of freedom, life, and liberty. This right here. And if you go through all of her problems with the Democratic Party, you can't find a single one it's all like massive Fox News framing on everything. Today's Democratic Party rejects the rule of law. The IRS is targeting conservative groups. Today's Democratic Party does not believe in free speech. Today's Democratic Party does not believe in constitutionally protected right to freedom of religion. Are you fucking kidding me? You're about to run to the Republican Party, which directly and intentionally targeted Islamic groups all across this country for fucking the entire wake of 9/11, while you then bitch to me about the security state. Are you out of your mind? Like, you're just talking out of one side of your mouth directly to the other. It's exactly what they do on Fox News. She's just parroting exactly what this like boomer right-wing audience wants to see from somebody who got so scared of the left in the Democratic Party, right? It's exactly what MSNBC does when they have all the never Trumpers, like the dude from Morning Joe, what's his last name? Joe Scarborough. He was a Republican for the longest goddamn time, but then he was like, I'm putting my foot in the ground. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I just won't get behind this mean man who says mean things. That's essentially the inverse of what's happening with somebody like Tulsi Gabbard. She's just the never Trumper from the Democrats.
100%. And also it's pretty funny and just such self-parody too. Cause if she just left it here and said, I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party because of the warmongering and the fact that they're bringing us closer to nuclear war. Well, I mean, that's it. There's at least like some truth in that, right? Like, the Democrats are warmongers and they currently are bringing us closer to the brink of nuclear war. Not that the Republicans are necessarily better, but at least that's like accurate, right? But to then go on and just completely destroy any credibility in your argument by using these right-wing buzzwords, cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoke anti-white racism. This is literally just the inverse of the same kind of identity politics that Democrats constantly talk about. Like, this is identity politics too, but you're just talking about anti-white racism, acting like that's a real thing and an issue, which it's fucking not, unless you listen to Fox News 24/7 and have fucking Tucker Carlson brain. So again, any credibility that she might have had making a serious argument on serious grounds, in my opinion, is totally kind of just defaced by this idiocy and these right-wing buzzwords. These are not the real issues facing this country. Wokeness is just a buzzword that doesn't mean anything. Anti-white race. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, give me an example of fucking anti-white racism. Why can't you even give a single goddamn example of what this means or an example of it taking place? It's just a made up thing. It's literally just fucking white old boomer Republicans clutching their pearls because people are a little bit more sensitive now towards like racial issues and social justice kind of topics, right? And yeah, obviously sometimes wokeness can go too far. I'm not sitting here saying that wokeness is never annoying, but to base your entire politics on that is so fucking childish. It's just such a giveaway that you're a grifting piece of shit that doesn't actually care about real issues affecting real people. So that would be my response to that. And I also wanted to respond to this super chat from CEB Applejack59. Thank you so much for the super chat. Do you have evidence of her going Republicans or going to the Republicans?
The denim shirt.
I don't defend her. I just want to know if it's fact. Well, it's not technically fact yet. She didn't say in the statement, now I'm joining the Republican Party. But let's be honest, guys. We all know that's what's going to happen. I will fucking eat my shoe on this podcast if that's not what happens. And that's the other thing is like, I would actually be giving her some level of credit if she made this statement and said, I'm leaving the Democratic Party and joining the Green Party or like even the Libertarian Party, which I have such massive disagreements with. At least that's more in line with an understanding that it's both of the parties, that it's the duopoly, which is the problem. This statement it kind of implies that, well, the Democrats suck and, the Republicans are better. Like, I'm sorry, but that is what it implies, even though she's not explicitly saying that. She's been pandering to the right wing for freaking almost over a year now, over a year easily now. She's been going on Fox News. She fucking filled in for Tucker Carlson, all this stuff. So she's clearly going to go to the Republican Party. Like I said, if not, I will happily come on this podcast and fucking eat my shoe in front of you guys, 100%. But that is what she's going to do.
Yeah,
Again, if she was going to say, I'm exiting the Democratic Party, dim exit, let's start a new third party, let's take on the duopoly, both parties are corrupt, both parties are warmongers, that would at least be an accurate analysis, and obviously I'm a pro third party kind of guy. I vote for the Green Party in presidential elections when the Democrats nominate some corporatist like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. I'm more than happy to accept new members into the third party movement. But Tulsi Gabbard's never been on that page. She ran as a Democrat in 2020. And when that failed, she's now turning around and is going to run as a fucking Republican in order to try to secure the VP spot or just to continue to enrich herself by grifting Fox News viewers.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the, this was almost accidentally based, right? Like, I can no longer remain in the Democratic Party as they wage nuclear war. Like, obviously, to anybody that listens to our show, that is correct. That is accurate analysis, but that's not what she's doing here. She's using that. And to be fair, there is a lot of fear amongst Republican voters, just older people in general, people who get their news from cable news about nuclear war. That's why she's framing it this way. There's a lot of fear there. And what does fear do? When you stoke on that, you create a more loyal audience, right? That's what they all learned during the Trump era. And that's what they've always kind of known. So, yeah, the way that she is pivoting by one, if Tulsi was going to go third party, right, she would have done it in 2020. Okay, which kind of you, Gavin, you mentioned. I always thought it was hilarious that Jimmy and his entire audience always antagonized Bernie Sanders and everybody that supported him in 2020 for being Chris Hedges said they stole it from him once. They were going to steal it from him again, you dunces. And then it was who were you supporting in 2020? Oh, another Democratic candidate and one who was way shittier and turned out to just be a fucking right-wing grifter like you. Oh, funny how time tells like that, but that's fucking hilarious. So this is just, she's not going to do that. Why is she only making massive, the framing on every single one of these issues? It's not just a couple. She doesn't go out and say they are not giving us Medicare for all. Where was that in your list of criticisms, Tulsi Gabbard? That used to be one of, they're not taking care of us from a healthcare standpoint. That's not in your list of reasons why you're leaving the Democratic Party. How about the fucking planet's going to catch on fire and we're all going to die from climate change and the Democrats aren't doing anything about it? Nope, I don't think that's on your list. You're upset that they're not confronting the radical Islamist threat of terrorism. That's what you're fucking upset about. You're upset that now we've decided that that some people, 1% of the Democratic Party, is adamant that we're not going to have the most incarcerated country on earth. You're like, that's the final straw. If I can't see everybody getting fucking locked up and clubbed over the head and all these black people going to jail, I'm fucking out of this place, right? That. These are all of her grievances. Oh, if I can't just cheerlead some rabid anti-Semitism on Twitter, I have to wash my hands of this party. It's just insane. It's fucking it's unreal, right? So of course there's no direct evidence that she's going to go to the Republican Party. Only everything she's ever said over the last 12 months, right? So she's a smart enough lady. She knows how to do the dance to get over to the right wing. She knows she's still playing the role of the alarmed Democrat, the person who was the reasonable lefty, right? We've talked about how Dave Rubin does that kind of fucking shit. He was just the lefty that, the left got so woke for me. It's a real profitable dance to do, right? And that's why she's doing it. And she'll run in the the Republican primary, most likely by saying that her values have now, the Republican Party and the right-wing populism has just come to, she cares about people and also traditional American values. And, she's found that there's actually a home in the Republican Party for people who feel like her, all this yada, yada, yada. And she'll either get picked up to be a VP, chief of staff, or Secretary of State, something like that she wants, or she'll just fucking sell more books to right-wingers, go on Fox News more, start a podcast, where it's her and Jocko Willink, and they have guys like Joe Rogan on it. They talk about waking up and conquering their inner bitch and destroying Africa. I don't know what the fuck else they're,
trans people.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Trans people. That's the other big issue that's fucking making, oh God, we can't get this country back on track until we really iron out college swimming laws. That's what it is. That's what's holding this country up. I don't know. We got to really start with what's pressing right now. I don't know. Climate change, fucking thousands of people dying without health care, nuclear war. actually, there are a few people swimming in college, and I've got a bone to pick with them. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? The people who are using a fucking Harvard pool, a University of Pennsylvania pool, wherever the fuck these people are swimming at, I don't give a shit. It's absolutely absurd. I don't fucking care. Yeah, Tulsi is Karen of the right wing variety. Totally alarmist. She's gonna start fear mongering about the homeless next. That's got to be her next evolution, if it hasn't already begun, and I just haven't seen it. I mean, this is the kind of shit that's just like poison to me. But we saw it coming from a mile away. And yeah, so this is what it is.